Williams to
Yep.
start here. Jalen Williams, I don't know if you got a chance to catch the game last night where Jalen Williams was unbelievable for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Look, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ended up with 30 points, but Jalen Williams to me is clearly making a jump into a different level of what he has been previously as a star in the NBA. And it's been happening for a little while now. Do you know who's leading the NBA in fourth quarter scoring since January 1st, Bryce?
I love that you brought this up because I looked up his fourth quarter points per game. I looked up his clutch stats. I know he's not number one for the whole year, but my guess is Jalen Williams.
It's Jalen Williams. He is averaging the most points per game in the fourth quarter since January 1st. He has been absolutely spectacular over the course of this entire season. And to me, the big thing that we talk about with Jalen Williams, and I feel like we've been talking about Jalen Williams on this podcast for multiple years now, going back to his last year, Santa Clara. I think I was higher on him than anybody in the public sphere pre-draft because I loved his game. I wasn't even high enough on him compared to where teams were after talking to them. Part of it is the mentality. When you talk to people that know Jalen Williams, he is competitive, man. Like, he has a competitive streak. He's like a great dude off the court. All of the like niceness that you see is very real and genuine. But when he gets on the court, he's trying to rip your heart out every time. And I love everything about the Jalen Williams experience across the board. The key to me, though, is that his game translates exceptionally well to playoff basketball. And that's kind of what I want to focus on today. We're going to watch some tape from the game last night against Dallas and just break down what makes Jalen Williams so special as a player. And to me, it starts with the 3-level scoring and the defensive ability. It's really hard to combine somebody all in one single player who is a phenomenal defensive player that also has the ability to score at all 3 levels of the court, not just like at a solid level, but at a above average to great level in some cases for Jalen.
And he has this like physical body that stands out along with the skill set. I know as I was like reading back through notes I had on J-Dub, it was like the secondary defender, the ball handling to navigate the secondary defender, and so it's like just those nuanced skills that he has to go along with the body and everything else. I want to ask you this, I didn't prepare this, but as you're talking, I think sometimes, the Thunder take him where they did. And at the time, maybe it looked like, oh, the Thunder were the team that like pinpointed him. Obviously, I wouldn't ask you to name teams, but thinking back to that, were there other teams you felt like were super high on? Yes. So it wasn't just the Thunder that kind of had him pegged in that area.
There were other teams that tried to move up to get him.
Got you.
Yes.
That's fascinating to me. Was it truly one team that pinpointed him, or were there others and the Thunder just happened to be the team that got there first or made the move that got, whatever. So.
Yeah. The Thunder obviously had the other pick right next to it that they took with Ousmane Dieng.
Yep.
And from what I know, I think that they might have taken Dieng first, but like they had Williams very high on their board. And also from what I know, there were multiple other teams that tried to move up, but because the Thunder kind of controlled that piece of the draft there after the Wizards took Johnny Davis, I think at 10, it was a little bit easier for them to dictate kind of how it was going to go on that night.
I was trying to remember which one of those was the pick so listen, I feel like this is the one where they took Dieng with the pick they did because in case something fell through with the trade. Like I remember hearing this and I can't source it, so I apologize, but it was like, okay, we have these back-to-back picks regardless, but the first one was actually one that they had made a trade for, and so they took Dieng with that pick just in case something with the trade, something funny happened, whatever. They wanted to make sure they took Jalen Williams with the one that they knew was going to stand pat 100%. There was 0% chance it didn't go through. So,
I mean, honestly, makes sense in some respect, if that would be the case. What I would say on Jalen Williams is, yes, they drilled evaluating Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with this pick. or with this trade for Paul George, right? And then yes, they nailed the Chet Holmgren pick at number 2. I had Chet at number 1. I know many other high-ranking people in the NBA had Chet at number 1. I thought Chet was the obvious choice. I would have taken Chet. You really only had like one or two guys, though. You were either going to take Chet or you're going to take Jabari Smith, right? And it seemed like the choice was always Chet. So kind of an obvious pick there. To me, taking Jalen Williams at number 12 is what has completely transformed them as an organization, hitting who I believe a guy that is going to be a many-time All-Star, like not just like a few times. I think Jalen Williams is going to make like many All-Star games. We're going to talk about Alperen Şengün momentarily here, and I know Şengün's numbers are amazing, and I love Alperen Şengün as a player offensively, particularly. I would take Jalen Williams over Şengün at this point, like pretty comfortably, just given how well his game looks like it's going to translate to playoff basketball and the skill level involved of combining all of his skill sets into one single player.
Well, and I think what it does is we talk about the Mavericks in past episodes. You have Luka and Kyrie, and I'm not putting SGA and Chet or SGA and J Dub, whatever, but we talk about them needing the third guy, right? Like what's crazy is the Thunder already have the 3 guys. Now, this is all dependent on health and all of that. And also it just fits together. The 3 of them fit together really well. But I do think J-Dub is the one that makes it work. And I've said this already about him because we do talk about him a lot, is what is special. He's willing to play off of SGA when they're on the court together. And then he is willing or able to take the lead role when SGA is off the floor. So whenever you're second best player, third best player, however people want to, categorize it, is able to dominate the game and dominate the ball when he needs to, but also play off the ball play off of your star. That's a truly special, again, second or third player, wherever you want to consider it. And so that's where it just like getting all 3 of those guys puts this team on a crazy trajectory.
Yeah. So let's just dive into the tape here, I think, and just kind of talk through what makes him such a special basketball player, right? So this is a fun little opening set here, with 7:46 left in the first quarter from the game last night against Dallas, where they set essentially like a one. I don't even know what do we call Josh in terms of his position is anymore.
Yeah.
Like, is he a point guard? Is he like the 4-man for Oklahoma City now? Like Jalen tends to guard the bigger guys a lot of the time. It's very confusing, but they're setting basically like a Shea Giddey ball screen here where Shea is going to drive into Daniel Gafford. My guess is that they are doing this because Giddey is being guarded by Daniel Gafford here. So Shea is going to get into the lane here. He's going to use his body really well on Derrick Jones Jr. Derrick Jones cuts him off at a really high level. And what I want you to see here particularly, just the level of explosion that Jalen Williams has with his first step, right? Like he does a great job with just this little swing through with his arms and then just gets the ball so low to the ground here because his arms are so long. That 7'2" wingspan absolutely is an enormous factor with making Jalen Williams as impactful as he is. Just look at how close to the ground the ball is here. You can't see it because PJ is there, but you can kind of see it just like right there even before he totally begins the swing through, right? Like that's just so close to the ground here. Plays with great bend as well to get the most out of his athleticism. And then point here as well. This is the first time we're going to see Jalen Williams' strength. Just look at this little elbow he's going to give here to Josh Green in order to create just that little bit of extra separation, just that sneaky little elbow. He's got a referee back here that can't see it. He's got a referee on the side here that can't see it. It's just really sharp. It's really smart to be able to use that elbow to get that little bit of extra juice to get to the rim. He knows as well, I think, that he has that's Kyrie down on the baseline here as well. So that's going to be a little bit easier for him to finish at the basket. Yeah, this is just fantastic work from Jalen Williams.
Well, the thing is, whenever he gets his shoulders past the defender and gets the defender's hips open, like he does, right? It's over right from the start. Like he's so explosive
Yeah.
off his first step, the defender completely opens up, and J Dub is going to take advantage of that every time. He's too strong, he's too explosive not to. I also want to point out, everybody watching live right now or on YouTube kind of knows this. So if you're listening, this isn't like some crazy hard closeout. The defender actually gets locked in on the closeout. So there's one thing to beat a defender because the closeout is out of control or, just a crazy contest. The defender is actually able to set his feet and lock in. And then he just subtly uses like that kind of swing through, sets him up. Like right here, the defender is in a stance, squared up, ready to defend. And he has his hips turned on the first step. Like that's just how explosive he is with that move.
Yeah. I mean, look, like this is fine. Like this is okay. His feet are set here. What he does, I think, Josh, is I think Jalen like noticed just these like small, like little imperceptible things, right? Where he notices Josh just get onto his heels that much right there, I think, and that's where it's gone. As soon as that heel rises, I think he knows that he's got him at that point, and he's just going to be able to go straight line, get all the way to the rim, and score. Just a fantastic, fantastic finisher. Has been an elite finisher since he has gotten to the NBA. The numbers just like indicate he is absolutely one of the best wing finishers in the league. He was one of, I think he shot like 65% at the rim last season. This year, he's at 61% at the rim so far. A lot of those being self-created opportunities. Just a fantastic, fantastic player as a whole at the basket. Next one here.
Real quick, Sam, I know we're talking Jalen Williams, but also notice who's at the top of the key on that drive is Chet Holmgren. And this is why Chet is really special to this team offensively is PJ Washington's not standing on the nail at the start of J-Dub's drive to cut it off like you would against a lot of five-man centers. He is out guarding Chet because Chet has the gravity that he does. PJ is essentially at like the high school top of the key, like the high school 3-point line. And that makes it hard for them to get over and recover as opposed to right down on the nail at the free throw line, forcing the kick out. And that just speaks to Chet's gravity as a floor spacer.
It's really valuable. It's a really, really valuable point there with Chet. Next up here, Chet Holmgren's going to get this rebound. And then we've just got Jalen Williams out in space. Look at the power, right? Derrick Jones Jr. is not like a small dude, right? I want you guys to like see the speed here. Look at how quickly he covers ground.
Yeah.
As he's going. He just completely cuts off this angle from PJ Washington. Look, he just goes here and he's just going to zoom here, right? He's going to completely cut off that angle. So PJ is in jail and can't do anything with him. Then next, look at that bump. Look at where he bumps him, which is right here, right at the elbow. He's going to bump him here. And look at how far back Derrick Jones is going to
ends up at the circle. Yeah.
Yeah. That is ridiculous strength for an NBA player. He just bumped Derrick Jones from here all the way to here. That is absurd. Like that is not something that NBA players do, especially NBA wings. That's like Kawhi, Jimmy Butler. Like, honestly, that is the strength that we're talking about here. Moving guys from here to here on a bump is absurd.
Well, and Derrick Jones does is like everything he can, right? Like he takes a step there to cut him off. This is in transition, which makes it even harder. He takes the contact in the chest. I like the no foul call either way. Like, don't call a defensive foul here. Don't call an offensive foul either, of course. Make the guy make the shot, right? Like, show your skill level here. If you want to give him that contact, that's fine. Now be able to decelerate, collect your balance, collect your body control, and finesse this off the backboard. And if he can do that, then let's go to the other end. So I love that there was no foul call either.
Yeah, and just Jalen's balance as well. Just look at how he maintains that.
Oh, he doesn't even use the glass. He just teardrops it.
Yeah, just teardrops it. look at how straight up and down he is after that
Yes.
bump, right?
Yep. Yep.
Like that's what's absurd. It's the contact balance mixed with the force. It's crazy, crazy, crazy how strong and physical this guy is while also being able to maintain the touch through the bumps. So
That's what I was
this
talking
next
about.
one
Like
here,
the skill level, man. The skill level, I think, is underappreciated with this guy quite a bit because he does look so physically imposing.
yeah, this next one here sets like a little pick and pop from Chet Holmgren. Shea gets cut off, and now we're just canning a three, right? So already through 3 clips,
All
and
three
by the
levels.
way, this is in 90 seconds. These 3 clips that we've watched so far have been like the right around the 8-minute mark down to the 6:35 mark here. We've seen it from all 3 levels already, right?
Yep.
So what makes Shea so valuable, obviously, is just the way that he forces help every single time. Again, I mean, Dallas's defense is interesting in the way that they tend to guard things. But in this case, you can see that they have Gafford on Giddy because they want to try and sag off of Giddy. They have Josh Green basically in a 1-on-2 on the strong side of the action with Giddy and Jalen Williams. Jalen's not like a completely comfortable and confident. I think he's confident, but like he doesn't always try and take threes at a super high volume. So I get trying to go 1-on-2 here. Shea finds the angle out to Giddy. I kind of think what you'd love to see here is that if like PJ Washington, who just is kind of like standing here in no man's land at a certain point,
He should be rotating back out to Chet, I feel like.
yeah, you would like to see him kind of fly back out to Chet here. So go there all the way out to here. I think that now you're stuck with essentially once you make this pass, Derek Jones now is the one who's stuck in a 1-on-2 situation here. So 1 versus 1, 2, because Josh Green has to commit out to his Australian brethren, Josh Giddy. And that's just a hard spot to be in, right? PJ Washington, like, look, like this isn't PJ. I don't know this is PJ's fault necessarily. It's just hard to guard, right? But you would really like to see him get out a little bit quicker there, I think, so that Derek can actually make the heavy closeout that's necessary onto Jalen Williams. But Jalen Williams cans this 3 easy. I think the Basketball Genesis makes a fair point.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
you probably just want to leave Josh Giddy open there. And if
Yeah.
you're Josh Green, you want to shoot out to Jalen Williams. That's just like not. I get it that like that's like super high end scouting stuff, but like it's not the natural rotation, right? Like if you're in the moment like that, the natural rotation is fuck. This guy just got the ball. It's going to be an open corner 3. I have to get out to him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I watch it all the time. Like I watch people do it to Asar Thompson. Asar Thompson is shooting far worse than Josh Giddy, and I watch people close out to Asar Thompson in the corner. So I think there's just at times natural instincts take over, especially in scramble situations. Not when you're like locked in, but in a scramble situation, the natural instinct is because your whole career a pass has been made, you follow the pass to the next guy. You anticipate those things. So I think what you would have liked to see is Josh turn, take one step, then notice that it's Giddy, and then like stunt and then back off of it. But at the end of the day, Jalen Williams is shooting 45% from 3 this year, Sam, on 3.5 attempts. So he's upped his attempts and he's gotten his percentage up by almost 10. Like, again, your 3-level scoring point is proven with every clip, every stat, everything we talk about.
100%. So next one here. I love this clip because I always hate these camera angles for the most part, but in this case, it was actually pretty good. So Williams brings the ball up the court, throws it to Giddy at the top of the key, goes to set a screen. And then they kind of like do what do you want to call that? Almost like a wrap
A
pin
wrap.
kind of
Yep.
deal. Yeah, where Williams sets this screen, then Kaysen comes around and sets the screen onto Williams' man for Williams to come up and get that little bit of separation. And the end result here in doing that is you get this switch, right? You
Yep.
get this switch where you get Jaden Hardy onto Jalen Williams. And, Jaden Hardy's just smaller than Jalen Williams, right? So now we get another screen from Giddey coming up. It's almost like a zoomy
It's a
kind of
it's a
wrap
li-
pin action kind
it's a
of
little
deal.
it's a little zoomish. Yeah.
Yeah. So once he gets that separation, and as you say, once he gets his shoulders past Jaden Hardy, you can only see Jaden Hardy's shoulders here because he's past Hardy. And then you get the deceleration to stop in the middle of the paint because he sees Gafford there lurking because Gafford is completely helped off of Giddey. You got Gafford here all the way in the paint. You've got Giddey here at the 3-point line. And now it's just stop and pop, little mini fade, nothing but net. Like this in between game, this is the stuff that translates to the NBA playoffs. This stuff is going to be lethal in the playoffs, and it's how you counter break things like teams sagging off of Giddey. Like if you want to play Giddey in the playoffs, having this killer mid-range guy who's going to sag off and like try and shut down the paint, having somebody that can consistently make that shot is critical, is absolutely critical.
And again,
Next up here,
I was
go
just
ahead.
real quick. I know we're not talking about Josh Giddey, but if Josh Giddey would be a good screen setter, he would be really tough in those type of actions. Like here, he gets a little bit of Hardy, but if he got a solid screen on Hardy with where Gafford's playing, it makes it that much easier for Williams, for SGA, whoever he's setting those screens for. So I realize we're trying to keep the focus on Williams here, but I can't help but see that from Giddey and go, man, this is the way you stay on the floor, Josh, is by setting good screens. And if your defender's going to play off of you like that, you're going to get so many screen assists throughout a game if you'll set good ones.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. Next one here. Giddey swings the ball over across. And now we've just got like a wild rotation here from
That's a great
Dallas.
relocation, though, from him, from
That's what I
J-Dub.
wanted to bring up. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I wanted to bring up.
it's a great
So
movement.
Jalen Williams here at the start of this play is at the top of the key. Or, what do you want to call it? Wing top of the key.
Yeah.
Adjacent. Like almost like bordering on like getting into the slot, right?
Yep.
And we're going to get this drive. He is trying to cut, it feels like, in order to like get this little like slot, like 45 cut, get past his man who is Kyrie here, hopefully be able to catch and force Tim Hardaway Jr. potentially into this weird 1-on-2 situation. He's kind of already got it, right? But it's an easier pass for him to make than who is that with the ball? Is that Aaron?
Well, I thought I think it's SGA. No, is it not?
No, it's not
No.
Shea. I think it's Aaron Wiggins. Maybe
Aaron Wiggins.
Yeah. So Williams kind of gets into the paint here with this little slot cut, and the ball just like kind of squirts out, right? And you'd hope that Kyrie is going to get this ball most of the time if you're a Dallas fan, I would imagine, right? He ends up just diving for it and missing it, right? That happens. So now what I love about Case and Wallace is just the ability to take up space, force the help, and then Jalen is just relocating, right? Jalen's just finding the open area of the defense. This is a guy that, could be an all-star as soon as next year, and he is just completely wide open here. How often do you get guys that are that good who end up this open from three, cans it, nothing but net, looks at the fans? That's the thing too I love about Jalen Williams, just absolutely talks to the fans, gives energy, gives effort all the time. He's just a fantastic, fantastic player. This one, Jalen Williams, other Jalen Williams from Arkansas, misses a three. We're in kind of a weird scramble situation now. We've got Maxi Kleba out on Jalen Williams here, our Jalen Williams that we're talking about. Cans it like it's nothing. Super easy. Just drills another open three. Relocates, finds the open spot, nails it. Now we're into the fourth quarter, and this is where I think things got like truly special for Jalen Williams in this game. This one here, they've got Josh Green on him, and then they've got PJ Washington guarding Chet Holmgren. Chet doesn't set a fantastic screen here. No, it's Dante Exum guarding Jalen Williams. Yeah. Dante Exum is guarding Jalen Williams here. And you're just going to see him string together like 5 moves here in order to get past Dante Exum and just drill this mid-range pull-up, right? So not a great screen from Chet. You've got this little hang dribble into a between the legs, into a crossover, back between the legs, back to a crossover, 2-pound dribbles, cash from the mid-range. What are we doing? This guy's 6'6" with like a 7'2" wingspan and like an 8'9" standing reach. He shoots with a super high release point. This is not normal. This stuff is not normal, Bryce.
Well, what I love is the stop, the 1-2 into the jumper. Also, Exum is giving him some space, and he still gets him out. Like right there, you see the advantage he was able to create. And then, like, you can just see how he's able to lower his center of gravity. And then right there, he's just able to 1-2. And then he has to turn his body in the air into the jump. Like right now, his feet are pointed almost directly towards the baseline, and he's on the right lane line. And as he jumps, he's able to get himself squared over a pretty tough contest. Like this is an awful defense by Dante Exum. You know, like this is, you're forcing a tough mid-range contested jump shot, and he makes it look easy because he's really good.
I'm so glad you brought up the point about getting low. I brought it up once earlier, and I think it's a crucial point to what makes him as successful as he is. Look at how low he gets to the ground here on that deceleration stop. Jump stop here almost looks like his momentum is like going this way.
I say right? he's like almost squatting back more than I would. Obviously, this is going to sound stupid. Like I almost wouldn't want him doing this, but obviously it works, right? Like it looks like he's literally setting the chair, Sam. Like it looks like somebody pulled a chair out from under him, and he's still able to be explosive out of it. That's crazy. Such lower body strength.
Yeah. And then just rises up. Look at the release point. Like, look at how high this is. That release point is above the rim, right? Like his release point is here. The rim is like here right now. And he's still able to do it with such incredible touch. He gets great elevation on the jumper there. It's ridiculous.
Can you go back to where you had it paused just a second ago, or as close as possible? Because I want to show the concentration he has as well. So if we go back just a little forward, just a bit, just right where he's about to release it, if you can. That's fine. Even here, look at Exum into his lower body. Like Exum is doing exactly what you'd want from a defender in terms of he's getting into his lower body on this shot, making him feel him. And he does it without fouling. I think this is good defense by Exum, but you can see Jalen's eyes are on the rim. Like this is just great concentration with the defender that's right in a spot that would make you a little bit uncomfortable. And again, he made it look easy. Like that's an extremely tough shot in a big moment.
It's unbelievable. I think this one was 2 possessions later. Again, we've got this, I don't even know what you want to call this, like a little like, I don't know, is that like almost like a step up and pop like kind of deal with Chet? Do you want to call it like a sealed step up almost?
Like not a whole lot of actual screens going on here, but
yeah. And again, Exum does like fine here, and then Jalen just like bodies him.
Goodness.
He does absolutely everything he can do well here, and it's just like, well, I'm just gonna move you. Sorry, nothing you can do.
His hips aren't even all the way open. Exum is in great position. Like Jalen rocks him a little bit, but he gets back. He's turned a little bit. So J-Dub created an advantage. So yeah, he's a little more turned than I was saying. He does have his hips turned here. Gosh dang, that is tough though. Yeah, he got his hips turned. Whew.
So like Dante's feet basically were like here and here, his feet after that bump are here. That's like 10 feet of separation that he's just creating from Exum, and he just stops and pops off of this. This is not easy. This is not easy at all, guys. The fact that he is able to do this is just like completely ridiculous and totally absurd to me. Next one here. Again, fourth quarter. I think this is literally the next possession after the shot we just watched. Double drag from Chet and Aaron Wiggins, and we're just going to get all the way to the rim here. I love how he splits the double drag here. So we've got Wiggins coming up, getting guarded by Jaden Hardy. We've got PJ Washington guarding Chet Holmgren. I think that they kind of guard this in an interesting way. They switch it on the first action, and then where Exum is going to go with Wiggins, and they're going to ask Hardy to handle Jalen Williams. And then it looks like they're going to kind of drop it on the second one to me.
Yep.
Maybe play a little bit of a higher drop.
It looked like they used him. He was going to play at the level there, but yeah.
Yeah. Almost like at the level, like a catch drop kind of situation. And Jalen just decides, nope, I'm just going to deny that. I've got Jaden way too high up here.
Yep.
I'm going to adjust. I've got Jaden's foot is outside of Chet's foot already. So he's going to be able to probably stay in decent guarding position on me. So I'm just going to put the ball between my legs and I'm going to go this way. It's the flexibility mixed with the strength, mixed with the length, mixed with the touch, the physicality, all of it, right? And then what you've got here is, because Hardy is like dead at this point, you're basically making Exum like kind of be the drop defender here almost.
Yeah.
And then like he needs Gafford to like rotate over. Like this is such a weird, awkward guarding position for Dante Exum, but that's the kind of positions that Jalen Williams puts you in, right? Like I think that what Exum would be hoping for here is that he can just like kind of stay attached to Hardy for a second, hope that Gafford is available if Williams throws this lob to Wiggins here. And then Hardy can kind of recover back as we go, right? But Exum just kind of gives up on it, I guess. So maybe he doesn't hope that. Exum just kind of like stops.
Well, I'm sure it caught him off guard. Like usually a double drag, you come off both screens and you're playing up. Like Exum is anticipating Jalen Williams to play to the other side of the floor. He switches out onto Wiggins, and as soon as he turns around, here comes J-Dub downhill at him. So he's not expecting him to come back and attack him. Doesn't mean he shouldn't step over that, but
yeah, I wonder if Jalen kind of like manipulates him here with his eyes, because Dante like stunts to him with one step, it looks like. And then it feels like he expects Wiggins to like filter out to the corner to me and get out that way, which means he has to kind of follow him. It's a weird play by Exum, but it's like more impressive to me on the side of Williams, right? And then he just like finishes through contact on Daniel Gafford. Like it's absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I wonder if you're right. I wish we had a baseline view to see if J-Dub's eyes moved Exum or held him for a second like he was making that pass to the corner. Because you're right, like just Exum's movements are a little bit unique.
Yeah, but the big boys, Gafford right at the basket. No issues there. Length extension at the basket has always been incredibly impressive from Jalen Williams, obviously. Next one here, we're going to get an Isaiah Joe screen. Again, Jalen Williams rejects the screen. Always has been awesome rejecting screens in that way. Now we're in a spot where he forces the switch onto Kyrie from PJ Washington. The other thing I want you guys to see here is look how many guys that Dallas has thrown at Jalen Williams to try and stop him at this point. We've got PJ Washington. We've got Dante Exum. I think we had Maxi Kleba for a possession. We had primarily like Josh Green to start the game. They're just throwing shit at the wall here, trying to stop him in some way, shape, or form. He forces the switch on to Kyrie. Kyrie tries to come out, makes him feel him, and it's, he's just too small. Like that's the thing here. Kyrie does a great job here, I think. Not just a good job, like he does literally every single thing he can here. Gets him, stays attached to him, locks onto his hip, contests, and he's just too small. The release point is all the way up here. That's as far as Kyrie is contesting. Just can't really do anything with that. Like small guards can't do anything with him.
I want to give Isaiah Joe a shout out as well. Isaiah Joe catches this and knows exactly what J-Dub is doing. So J-Dub, you'll watch this in an NBA game. A lot of times, like here, a player will get the switch, they'll give it up, and then they'll immediately back out so they can kind of create a little bit of space to then make their move downhill. Isaiah Joe doesn't catch it and reverse it to SGA. He doesn't catch and look at the basket. He catches and he immediately goes back to J-Dub to let J-Dub. And why that matters, Sam, there's already 10 seconds on the shot clock. If Isaiah Joe plays around with that for 2 or 3 seconds, then that limits J-Dub's options. Like he still scores with 5 or 6 seconds on the shot clock, but it does matter. And so it's just those little nuance things that, yes, Isaiah Joe is a great floor spacer, but all of these Thunder players are so high feel, so good, like basketball awareness of what's going on. And he just fits that perfectly.
Yeah, no, totally. His processing ability has always been really, really high level for a spacer. I think he's really, really smart about the way he attacks things. Again, the realignment in midair is the other thing I want to point out here. So he stops here. Look at how he twists his body in midair in order just to get his hips and to get his elbow in alignment with the rim. All fantastic work here. Finally, next one up. This is with 2:30 left. I think this is the second to last clip we've got. Again, we're setting like this little seal, like step up ghost kind of action, I guess we'll call it. They've got PJ Washington on Jalen Williams. They have Tim Hardaway Jr. on Chet Holmgren.
Interesting.
And then PJ just fouls him, right? Like, again, as you mentioned, the shoulders. Gets the shoulders past him.
Yep.
His shoulders are here. PJs are twisted that way. No chance at that point. PJ's got to foul him.
Also, just notice the score in all of these. This isn't like a 15-point separation. Those early clips of the fourth quarter were 3. I think the clip before this, maybe the Thunder looked like, I think if I remember right, had extended it to like 7 or 8, something like that. Even right here is a 6-point game with 2.5 minutes left to go. Also, like, shout out SGA, right? SGA is a real legitimate MVP candidate, and he's letting Jalen Williams cook in this game. Like, again, not like their egos are real. And that's what's kind of special about these guys playing together, playing off of each other. He sees that J-Dub has it going. He has the right matchups, and he's let him do his thing.
Yep, that's dead on. Finally here, this is I believe the final bucket that Oklahoma City makes in this game. Jalen's going to miss a 3. Casey Wallace, just an unbelievable rebound. And then
Great
the moment that he sees Derrick Jones Jr. turn, right?
Yep.
So this is it, right? So he misses. Jones, like you can kind of see here, he's going to peek back, right? Right there. Peeks back at him, right?
Yep.
To kind of see where he's at. Jalen is going to see him turn again here, and that's when he starts his cut, right? As soon as he starts turning his vision that way, his momentum is like kind of funky. Jalen's just going to go, right? He's just like, okay, I'm going to finish this at the rim. Kaysen, hit me. This is a fantastic pass by Kaysen Wallace.
Yeah.
Just the ability to execute this pass is unbelievable. Gets him way above the rim.
Yep.
I mean, just fantastic. This is just this is an elite player in the NBA. I don't know if he's like a top 30 player, top 25. I don't know what to call him at this point. I know to call him an elite player. That's where I'm at on all of this. He is genuinely Oklahoma City's second best player right now. And oh, by the way, I've got defensive clips because he did some things defensively last night that were completely ridiculous in transition. So let's start with this one. Shea is just going to kind of lose the ball to Derek Jones here. Jalen is trailing, and he just catches him. Like, look at how long he is.
Yep.
Look at how long he is. Catches him, looks back, screams at the crowd, gets them into it. Look at his arms.
Well, and
the length.
The hand play, because here's the thing: Derek Jones Jr. not an unathletic player, right? Like has some vertical pop.
No,
right?
Has a lot of vertical pop.
Has some vertical pop. And Derek Jones Jr. moves this ball. Now, like I don't agree with the decision of what he does with it, where he brings it back. But at the end of the day, he's still like, it wasn't a stationary just right above his head. Like he brings it up, he brings it back. Like Jalen not only jumps, reaches, but he tracks the ball, and his hand placement is perfect to get this block.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Whips around, goes nuts with the fans. This next one here. This is another like little turnover. Kyrie catches him. I have no idea. I truly have no idea how he gets this. This is so ridiculous. You're going to see afterward, Kyrie just kind of turns and laughs. Like, wait, like what just happened? Like Kyrie goes up with one hand, uses his left leg even to like the left knee to like kind of try and shield Jalen a little bit. And he catches it all the way above the basket. He catches that like almost 2/3 of the way up the square. Yeah. Right? This was an obscene Jalen Williams game. Quick.
You love the effort.
Look at Kyrie's face. Look at his face.
Well, and here's the thing. What I love about J-Dub there, not like he's not celebrating it because he knows he just turned the ball over. So he turns around and starts tapping his chest, looking at teammates or whoever going like, that was my bad, because he had just turned the ball. Like, watch right here. Starts tapping his chest. So this one, he's not like hooting and hollering and playing to the crowd because he knows like, hey, I just messed up. Now he made up for it. So, all is forgiven. But that's kind of like the competitiveness that you love, like the personality that you love, that, yeah, he'll get into the crowd who do these things, but then he'll also take accountability when he makes a mistake. Both of these save buckets off turnovers, right? So you talk about some of the most iconic defensive plays we remember in the NBA. Usually it's off a turnover in transition. I'm not saying these match up with those. I'm just saying those are the type of things we're seeing right now. Just great hustle, point-saving plays throughout a game.
That's exactly right. It's just so dead on in terms of what Jalen Williams brings to the table. I have been immensely impressed with him throughout the course of his career to this point. I've said this name many times when we've brought up the Jalen Williams conversation. He is Jimmy Butler to me. Like, he is the next generation's Jimmy Butler. Every time I watch him, he looks like he has a real chance to be an all defense guy similar to Jimmy. He is an unbelievable 3-level scorer. He's a better shooter than Jimmy was, frankly, at any point of his career. Maybe not from mid-range. Jimmy is a pretty real assassin there. But the way he uses his strength, the way he uses the physicality. He talked a little bit after the game about like how he this summer took it really seriously because he felt like strength and the ability to move guys was his potential advantage. So he really focused in on just like being in the gym, lifting, being stronger this year. When games get tighter, he said, like, that's when strength really matters. That physicality really matters. I think he is an absolute superstar moving forward. If you wanted to call him a top 30 player in the league, I think he is a top 30 player in the league right now. Just kind of straight up.
And I think these playoffs will give us, if he's not, I think this playoffs will solidify it. Like anybody who doesn't know Jalen Williams right now, and when we see this, because like you said, I think we both believe his game translates even better to the playoffs. My guy, Nick Crane, actually texted me while we were recording here. He said also like he's really good finishing with both hands. So like we showed a couple really tough finishes through contact, all of that stuff, but he can also finish with his left. And so that's something that stands out as well. Like if you're going to be a true 3-level scorer, in that mid-range level, like, can you float? Can you stop and, shoot a true jump shot at the rim? Can you finish with athleticism? Can you finish with finesse? Can you finish with finesse with both hands? So shout out Nick for that. He wanted to make sure I pointed that out as well.
Yep. I think it's a really great point, and I think he's just an absolute like star moving forward. Honestly, like I don't know which one I would take of him and Paulo moving forward. Like if you made me redraft that draft, I probably would take Chet long term at number one. I think the marginal advantages that he brings to the table are just so drastic for you in terms of the elite defense, the elite shooting, in terms of like being scalable to like winning situations. I think that having that guy at center is super, super valuable. Honestly, like I think there is a real case to take Jalen over Paulo. He's just been better than Paulo has been defensively to this point in his career, and he's been more efficient. I think there's totally a case that Paulo is tasked with being the number one guy on the Orlando Magic at this point and gets all of the defensive attention, whereas Jalen Williams plays next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and has like the most immaculately spaced court, whereas Paulo has the worst spaced court in the NBA, probably. I think Paulo is probably a better offensive player. I don't even know about better. He's just like so physically capable of taking advantage of mismatches in such a substantial way. He does need to improve, I think, as a shooter. I think Jalen probably hasn't beat there as a shooter right now. Paulo's a little bit younger than Jalen Williams is as well. It's a real conversation to me, at least. I get it that Paulo just made the All-Star team in the East, but guys, Jalen Williams, if he was in the Eastern Conference, would have made the All-Star team. Like, I don't know what to tell you about. Like, that's easy to me. Jalen is special. Putting him in conversation with Paulo is not a crazy discussion to me.
Well, it's an interesting one as well, because I think J-Dub plays as the second option better than Paulo would play as the second option because of the floor spacing and the defense and some of those things. And that's no knock on Paulo. I think then the conversation becomes could J-Dub go be the number one option in Orlando? Like if he was in Orlando being asked to be the number one option, would he be doing what Paulo's doing? And we've seen, again, like I've highlighted, whenever SGA is not on the floor, it seems like J-Dub is able to take that, but that's different. Like that's a different scenario whenever you have to be that guy every game, all 30 plus minutes,
Totally.
not just in a few minute stretches here and there. So I think it's an interesting conversation. At the end of the day, like J-Dub being in Oklahoma City is a great spot for him. Like I don't think Paulo would make as much sense as J-Dub in OKC, just because of what J-Dub does playing off these guys.
But you know what? Like this is part of what makes the conversation interesting to me.
Sure.
Is because J-Dub would be great in Orlando, right? Yeah. Like you can easily make the case that J-Dub like makes a ton more sense in Orlando than Paulo does in Oklahoma City. It's just scalability, right? Like I think the world of Jalen's scalability. The fact that this guy is not invited to Team USA camp is the craziest thing on planet Earth to me. Like we have guys like, all due respect to these players, and I truly don't mean any disrespect, because people know that like I love Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso, I thought, played like the best game of his career earlier this week. Yeah. He had like 23 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. He was unbelievable in this game. And taking him over Jalen Williams is crazy to me. Taking Josh Hart over Jalen Williams is like completely bonkers to me.
Well, it's because he's shooting the ball so well, right? So it's like his game translates to any type of game and really any type of role, because he defends and he can space the floor. So yeah, with Team USA, he's not going to be the guy. Like you're not going to ask him to be the guy, but I think he shoots over 50. Yeah, he shoots over 50% from corner threes, and it's not a high volume of his attempts, but let him go stand in the corner and make corner threes and cut off the ball and offensive rebound and then defend. Like that, again, this is why the argument has merits, is because he's so good at those things. And you're right. Like it seems like a guy that would make a lot of sense on an Olympic team, on a all-star team like that. So